Hello folks, Everchanger here, and welcome back to more Pokemon Blaze Black 2. Last time, we made our way here to Osiris City, and we also explored the Moor of Osiris. This time, I'm changing things up slightly. I think I said at the end of last episode that we would be exploring Osiris City, and what that would have entailed would be fighting a rematch with the Shadow Triad in the city, and it also would have involved a battle with... I don't know actually where they spawn, but somewhere in town are actually the Hoenn champions, Steven and Wallace. They spawn somewhere in town. I just am not entirely sure where. The problem with that is, I just went and checked what level their Pokemon are, and they're really high, like very, very high. I don't think we'd be able to take them on within any realm of imagination, so I'm changing things up a little bit. I've decided we are not going to be exploring Osiris City this episode, and instead we're pretty much going to be gunning straight for Dragonspiral Tower, because otherwise we would have a very, very rough time. So I'm going to stock up on some Pokeballs right here, because as you might imagine, we have a bit of a battle ahead of us. Let's get, I think, up to 50 timer balls is probably good, and get back up to 50 of these as well, although it's not really necessary considering you're only ever going to use one per battle, but it's nice to have. But yeah, there are a few things that you can get here in Osiris City, but not a whole lot, to be honest, although I do want to show this. The former Osiris City Pokemon Gym. This used to be the 7th gym of Unova. So cool, isn't it? That strong figure standing there in the background. If we navigate all the way to the end of this gym, quote-unquote, there are no trainers, but the gym puzzle is still intact. This is the puzzle that you would have to navigate if you were playing black or white, which I think is really neat. And I think there's a glitch in here somewhere. I'm just not entirely sure where it is. In fact, it might only be in the original black and white. I don't actually remember. Alright, how do you navigate this area anyway? Yeah, as you can imagine, I haven't played black and white in quite a while, so I don't actually remember exactly how to navigate this puzzle, which is a little embarrassing to say, I suppose. That ought to be something? No? Okay. I'll figure it out at some point, I promise, guys. I'll be honest, I really don't like ice puzzles in the Pokemon games, and... here we go. And honestly, I feel like X and Y made it even worse, because there are some puzzles in that game that you can only complete by walking diagonally, which I think makes it even harder, which is kind of insane. But yeah, they don't bother me too terribly much, but I feel like they can get really frustrating really quickly. Alrighty, is it these rocks right here? Okay, a couple of these rocks in this room somewhere are actually, you can actually walk through them, but that might only be in the original black and white. That would explain why I didn't show it in my glitch video that I made way back when, if it's only in the originals. But anyway, right back here, Bryson! In the past, when I was hurt and depressed, Alder shared this with me. There is strength in being with other people and Pokemon. Receiving their support makes you stronger. I worked as a gym leader, and I came to understand what he meant by that. My desire became to strengthen this relationship that makes everyone stronger, the relationship between people and Pokemon. By focusing on the path of an actor, I want to make everyone think that living together with Pokemon is exciting and wonderful. Teaching is being taught. Excuse me, it's time for training. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That doesn't get you anything, it's just a neat little detail that I feel is really nice, that I think a lot of people just overlook, because you are not required to come in here at all. I think it's a really nice little side detail. But anyway, up here, we have Dragonspiral Tower. Now you might see that item up there. We can't get that yet. We have to wait until winter time. We still don't know anything about it. Could the Dragonspiral Tower somehow symbolize ideals? Could it somehow represent truth? So you came here as well. It was 2 years ago. In this tower, a certain man and a certain Pokémon came face to face. This man pursued his ideals so he could change the world. That's right. This building rising serenely into the sky is the Dragonspiral Tower. It has towered over this land since before Unova was founded. On the highest floor, the legendary Dragon-type Pokémon was waiting for the appearance of a person seeking his or her ideals. It was exactly how the legend said it would be. Ah, the Darkstone! If that's the case, you must be headed to the top floor. Changing the world. That's an outrageous idea, but it is possible to change yourself, as long as you pursue your ideals. My, that conversation sure took a serious turn. Maybe something light and sweet would help balance things out. And we get an old Gateau, which is a really random healing item that was introduced in Diamond and Pearl. Be seeing ya. And off he goes. Now, one thing that is very nice is I have looked ahead, and I have confirmed that there are 0 Pokemon for us to catch in this area, which means we have license to break out the Max Repels, of which I have a lot less than I thought I did, but I do have a lot of Super Repels, so that's probably good. Now, if we surf right off over here, I believe there is a little spit of land. I'm not sure if there's anything over here. Aha, there is. A Carbos. Very good. Now, I'm pretty sure we are stronger than all of the Pokemon in this area, so I don't think we have to worry about any wild encounters, period. Which is going to be a very nice change of pace from the rest of the series, although we are going to be catching Pokemon in this episode, as you might imagine. But anyway, this is the Dragonspiral Tower, and I think this area is probably one of the coolest areas in Black and White. You're not going to see for quite a bit into the dungeon, but I think it's a really, really cool detail. And, of course, strength is required in here, although I think I taught it last episode, correct? I did. Very good. Now, as you can also imagine, there are a lot of legendary Pokemon that claim to be of the Dragon type. And as you can see to the left and right of me, these have a tendency to appear a little bit earlier than they are intended to in the game, which is a little unfortunate, but it's an amusing little peek ahead to what we're going to be doing, and it's not going to be too terribly long before we go on a big legendary catching spree, and there's an item back there that I definitely want to get. It is an Ultra Ball, which will definitely be helpful in the upcoming fight, which I hope doesn't take too terribly long, because as you can see, it is almost 10 p.m. right now, and I just had my last final today, and I am a bit tired. Now, one thing that's interesting about this room, one, it brings back memories of the Tin Tower from Gold and Silver, which I'm really a big sucker for, but also the camera angle is oblique, which I find a little bit random, but I also think it's a really neat little detail. That's one thing I really like about this area, is it gets a little fancy with the camera, which I think is always fun to see. Anyway, right there we have a shiny stone, which I think is the only thing of interest on this floor. So let's just head onwards. Now, you might be wondering, why the heck are you recording this the day you just had your last final? Well, it turns out I'm going to be out of town tomorrow, which is Friday, and this video is actually due to come out on a Sunday, which is something I'm really not used to. There's another legendary right there. So, yeah, I'm really not used to uploading videos on weekends, so it's something I'm definitely going to have to get used to. Now, I think a legendary spawns up here. Okay, good. This one didn't appear. A legendary is supposed to spawn right here, and I was afraid it would spawn and not let me past, but we are good. Anyway, right here we have an Adamant Orb, intended to be held by Dialga. A Griseous Orb, intended to be held by Giratina. And a Lustrous Orb, intended to be held by Palkia, which is really cool. Anyway, if we press onwards right here, we get to this room, which is probably my favorite. It's got this really neat rotating mechanic to it. I mean, it's not actually rotating, it's just a circular room. I just think it's a really cool little detail that I feel like a lot of people overlook because it's just sort of here. But I'm kind of a sucker for when they get fancy with the camera angles like this. I think it's really cool. Anyway, right there we have a PP Max, which is very nice. When I discovered that you could buy those, man, I was super excited when I found that. I went around looking at all the shops just before we finished the game, and that was probably my favorite discovery. Here we have a Max Revive, which is very awesome. Cast up one more Repel, and I think that's everything of interest in this room, so we can head upwards. Okay, is there anything on this floor? There is. A Comet Shard. I don't remember what that does. I think it's just intended to be sold. Wow, even more legend. Now, this is funny. We are going to be catching Zekrom at the top of the tower, as you might imagine, but they actually put another Zekrom right here, which is really funny. So this is not the Zekrom we are intended to catch. In fact, the Zekrom we are intended to catch is up here. As you might imagine, I definitely want to save, because I'm not exactly counting on this being the smoothest fight. But you never know, we could get lucky. Alrighty, we are now saved. Now, I don't actually remember if there's a cutscene up here, so let's see. The Darkstone. It's trembling inside the bag. And we take the Darkstone out of the bag, and the Darkstone draws in the aura of the surroundings and converts it into a powerful force, which is now being released. I completely forgot that cutscene was in the game, although to be fair, I've never actually done this event in an English copy of this game. The last time I did it was in the Japanese version, which was... wow, that was 4 years ago the last time I did this. That's crazy. But anyway, let's confront Zekrom. One thing I really, really like about this music is that it is actually a very subtle reference, or at least I believe it to be, to Earthbound Beginnings of all games. The beginning notes of this battle theme are actually from Mount Itoi, which is the last area of Earthbound Beginnings, which I think is a really cool detail. And of course I forgot the quick ball because I'm a dork and I always forget to do the quick ball. I feel like that's going to be a trend in upcoming videos. Now, one thing that is very nice about this fight is this Zekrom is not level 100 like it was at End's Castle. In fact, it is only level 75. I say only, but that's actually quite high. And I'm a little scared of attempting to outlast it. But I don't think we're having too much trouble at the moment. I mean, Gastrodon's taken some beatings from it. Alright, if you can take this last hit... ooh, we could not. That's unfortunate. Alright, let's switch in... Magnezone is probably the best bet for this, because I think Magnezone is probably the most qualified to wall this thing. Alright, how much is Flash Cannon going to do? I doubt it's going to do too terribly much, and that is going to hurt a lot. Fusion Bolt is quite powerful. In fact, it did over 50 damage to my Magnezone from the looks of it. Oh no, that's not over 50 damage, and I gild it with a critical. I will be right back. Alright, let's try this again. That was a little embarrassing, but I guess that's just going to happen with legendaries sometimes. Alrighty, let's give this another shot. Now the nice thing about getting another chance at this is we give the Quick Ball a chance to shine. Which it may or it may not. It's quite likely that it will not, but Zekrom actually has a relatively forgiving encounter rate in this game. Mainly as a result of it being a required story capture in the original Black and White. For that reason, it's got quite a high encounter rate, so hopefully we'll get lucky. I don't know if we will, but we can cross our fingers. 1, 2, 3. Dang it, that would have been awesome. Ah well. Well, I've already said all I really want to say about this Pokemon, so I think now all we have to do is just whittle it down and then catch it the normal way. Which honestly shouldn't be too terrible, because as I said, this thing has quite a high catch rate. Although one thing that is worth noting is its catch rate got brought way down to the level of other legendaries when Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire came out. And it's probably going to stay at that low point until they eventually have Zekrom be a required story capture again, which probably won't happen until they remake Black and White, which probably won't happen until, I don't know, if they're going to go 5 years like they have been, 2024, which is quite a long time from now, so enjoy the easy capturing of this Pokemon in the old games, because that's the only time it's going to happen. Alright, now I'm done. Let's catch it. There we go, that was not at all difficult. That was probably like the 5th Dusk Ball I threw. This legendary Pokemon can scorch the world with lightning. It assists those who want to build an ideal world. One thing that's worth noting, Zekrom is known as the Deep Black Pokemon, and Reshiram is known as the Vast White Pokemon. In the Japanese version, they were known as the Black Yin and White Yang Pokemon, which I think is a really neat little detail. Yin Black and Yang White for the remakes, anybody? Ah well. Anyway, Zekrom goes to box 18. Zekrom has recognized you as the new hero. That's right. As a trainer with a will strong enough to change the world. I have something to tell you. Go to the Giant Chasm. Kyurem has returned. That's what my friend has told me. David, the world that you desire for Pokémon and humans. I look forward to seeing how full of love that world is. Someday, Pokémon and humans will be bound together without Pokeballs. They will simply trust and help one another. Make that kind of world. And with those wise words from N, we are off to the Giant Chasm. And here we are, back in the Giant Chasm once again. This is where we had our fateful battle with Getsis that honestly wasn't too long ago, actually. But as N said, Kyurem has indeed returned. Let's not waste any time. Let's challenge it. Now, one thing I do have to warn about Kyurem is that Zekrom had a very forgiving catch rate. Kyurem does not. It has a very ruthlessly unforgiving catch rate. Luckily, it is not in its fused form, which means it won't be quite as powerful as Zekrom, but it is still a level 75 legendary. And that's scary, so let's see if we can get lucky with the Quick Ball. Not even close, which honestly, I wasn't exactly expecting to get lucky, but it would have been nice. Now, one thing that is nice is we can hit this thing with Thunderbolt, and I think it does have a chance of paralyzing this thing. So we can hope we can get a paralysis off on this thing, because Paralyze actually does boost your rate of capture relatively significantly, which is very nice. It also has Endeavor, which is interesting. Not exactly sure how that would work. And it is paralyzed, which is awesome. Alrighty, how much damage is this gonna do? I could probably hit it with another Thunderbolt. I'm gonna take a gamble at this one. Cross our fingers we don't get a really high damage roll. Nice, that is awesome, that is perfect. Alright, Endeavor is now working, which means it's going to bring us down to 24, which means 24 is the amount of HP this thing has. Unfortunately, since it has Endeavor, that sucks because now it can bring any of my Pokemon down to super low health at a whim. So let's just try the Dusk Ball and see what we can do. Yeah, this is going to be a rough one. Luckily it is paralyzed, so we're getting a little bit of respite. I am going to be making use of healing probably quite liberally in this fight. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say about Kyurem, or rather... Yep. Or rather, that's all I have to say about it until we catch it. So let's try and catch this thing. Let's cross our fingers we can do it. Yes! Nice. Man, that took probably 30 Pokeballs at this point. Hey. This legendary ice Pokemon waits for a hero to fill in the missing parts of its body with truth or ideals. Interesting stuff. Now, this is one thing that kinda disappoints me about this game, is that this was the capture of the Pokemon on the box. Seems a little... not a lot of fanfare to it, is it? David, that was Kyurem just now, right? So that's the legendary Pokemon Team Plasma, or should I say Getsis, was using. David, you're amazing. You've met so many Pokemon. Hey now, your Pokedex should be pretty full, right? I'm sure Professor Juniper will be really happy if you show her. I'm sure she was. In Unova, actually in the whole world, there are still many Pokemon that are waiting to meet you, though. In fact, I bet even legendary Pokemon are waiting to meet you. Still, how many Pokemon could there be in all? I think I'll go back to Nuvema Town and ask Professor Juniper. And on the ground right here, we obtain the DNA splicers, which are a very important item, so I think we are going to head back to... let's head back to Osiris City and we'll try them out. Oh. I wasn't aware of this. Apparently, wallpapers get added to commemorate the capture of Kyurem. That's an interesting little detail. Now, funny thing is, I'm actually in the Lacunosa Pokemon Center because I was going to get Togekiss, who has been serving as my flyer for the past few episodes. So I guess instead of heading back to Osiris City, we'll just show this off here because we're here and I had a reason to come out of that cut, so let's just do it now. Anyway, what we can do is we can withdraw Kyurem and Zekrom out of the PC. And with that item, what we can do is we can actually head into our bag and go over to the DNA splicers and use them. And I think we have to use them on Kyurem to make this work. Fuse with which Pokemon? Fuse with Zekrom. And Kyurem will change its form, which is a very interesting thing. So if we go into our Pokemon and check the summary, we now officially possess Black Kyurem. It's been a long time coming. This is episode 121, I think? That's crazy. This Pokemon that we've seen every single time we've started up the game, we now own it. This is a big step for us. That's pretty awesome. But yeah, that's really everything about Black Kyurem that I can really talk about. So I think that's actually the end of the episode, pretty much, because there's really not much else for me to show off. Now, one thing that's worth noting, I'm pretty sure you can deposit Black Kyurem into the PC, however, you do not have the ability to trade it or use it in battles, because it was not in the original Black and White, which is a little unfortunate, but them's the ropes. But yeah, heading out of the Pokemon Center here, I think that will do it for this episode. So, this past episode of Pokemon Blaze Black 2, we captured Zekrom and Kyurem and fused them together to create Black Kyurem, the Pokemon that we have been chasing after for all this time is finally ours. And next time on Pokemon Blaze Black 2, we are going to be heading back to Osiris City and completing a little bit more exploration before we move on to other parts of the Unova region. So without further ado, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time.